In this video, we are going to study the correlation analysis. The correlation analysis works with finding the relationship between two variables. Like if we have to any kind of variable, either ordinal or continuous or skewed or variable. So when we have when we deal with the two continuous variables, and provided that they are linear and normally distributed, we apply a Pearson correlation. And if the normality assumption does not fulfill, or we have the ordinal data in our study, so we apply Spearman correlation. So Pearson correlation is strict with some assumption like linearity and normality. Let me explain what does mean by linearity. Linearity means when the two variables of concern are being drawn. For example, let's take the example of the BMI and the age. The y-axis contains the age and the x-axis contains the BMI. So if we find any linear line, it's a line between two variable. So we will say the relationship between two variable are linear. So for example here, it implies that with the increase of the age, for example, the BMI decreases. So there is an inverse relationship between two variable. But if we have like one with the increase of one variable, another one is increasing, we will say there is a positive relationship between two variable. Or if the scenario comes out to be like this, like there is no pattern between two variable, we say okay, we there is no linear relationship between two variable because we are not we're observing any kind of pattern. So similarly here when we talked about the Spearman correlation, one assumption is that usually when the variable are skewed, when it is non-normally distributed, so we apply the Spearman correlation. Like in this case, the Pearson correlation may come out to be zero, but Spearman correlation may produce any kind of the value. So the value, second thing is to understand the range of the Pearson correlation or Spearman correlation. The both correlation coefficient ranges from -1 to +1, where the positive sign indicate, for example, if we get the value of 0.89, 0.7, whatever, so we will say there is similar relationship between two variables. Like with the increase of the age, the BMI also increases. This is the example of the positive association between two variables. And negative correlation means with the increase of age, the life expectancy decreases. It happens when, because of this scenario, the correlation value comes out to be negative. So when the one variable increases and the another decreases, we will say there is inverse relationship between two variables. And then we comes out to the values of correlation. Although literature has a different set of ranges for the values of correlation, we are describing it here. If R is the notation for the correlation. If R is close to 1, we will say there is a strong relationship between two variables. If R is close to 0.5, we will say there is moderate relationship between two variables. And if R is close to 0, we are not saying exact 0, but R is close to 0, we will say that there is weak relationship between two variables. Um, so steps in running the correlation are basically, we will check the linearity first and using the scatter plot. The graph which is shown in the previous slide are called a scatter plot, which is the bivariate dot plot. Bivariate means two variable between two quantitative variable, between two continuous or discrete variable. And second step is check the normality. We execute Shapiro-Wilk test for both quantitative variable. And third stage is to check the correlation analysis. If the variable found to be normally distributed, we apply Pearson correlation. If it is non-normally distributed, we apply Spearman correlation. For this lecture, we are going to use the HSP2 data, which has a 5 categorical variable and 5 continuous variable. We are going to work out to find the correlation between reading and writing scores of a student. So, as following the steps, we will go to our step number 1 for constructing the scatter plot between reading and writing score. So we are using the SPSS. In the SPSS, we have the graph option. In the graph menu, we will choose legacy dialogues and then scatter dot. We will click on define symbol scatter. And in the y-axis, we will put rewriting score. In the x-axis, we will put the reading score. This decision is arbitrarily because correlation value does not affect on the choice of y-axis and x-axis, but usually it happens that the dependent variable goes to y-axis and the independent variable goes to x-axis. When we press OK, the SPSS output sheet will display such kind of graph, and we have to just imagine at this moment we are working with the graphical presentation. So we have to just imagine the pattern in the two variable. So we can observe if we draw an imaginary line. For example, if we draw an imaginary line, so we can see there is okay, all not all the points are at the this straight line, but at least while drawing the line we observe the pattern. So we will say there is a correlation between reading score and writing score, and we can say that with the increase of the reading score, the writing score also increases. The next stage is then is the normality, but we are skipping that stage for the lecture because normality is already discussed in our previous videos. So you want to determine the correlation between the reading and writing score now, the value of the correlation, for which we will again use the SPSS, and the steps in the SPSS are to go to analyze and then correlation and then bivariate. In the bivariate box, we will specify both reading and writing score in the variable box. And we will click the for the lecture for the video here. We will click both on Pearson and Spearman correlation for now. We will keep the test of significance at 2 tail, and we will want that that the SPSS shows the significant correlation as in flat. Once you press OK, the SPSS will show these two table. Like one is for the Pearson correlation, another one is for the Spearman correlation, and by default the SPSS shows four cells. One is the correlation between reading score with the reading score. Another one is reading score with the writing score, and another one is again the duplication of the correlation between writing score and reading score, and the correlation between writing score and reading score. Our major cell of concern either this cell or this cell. We will observe any one of them, like both are same 0.597 or 0.597. And similarly here, this is the correlation. This is the correlation using the Spearman method, and it also displays the correlation of 0.6.7. Now our turn is to interpret this correlation. First of all, we see the sign, either it is positive or negative. Here we can see this is a positive sign, which is indicating that the writing score increases with the reading score. Second, we will see the strength of correlation. Like as we discussed, if the correlation value is near to 0.5, so we have the moderate relationship between two variable. So we will, and this is significant also. So we can interpret like this, that the reading score and writing score are correlated with each other in a sense that with the increase of the reading score, the writing score increases significantly using this one. This is the lecture so far. See you in the next one.